Hi guys, Adrian with MIA Outdoors. Today we're going to be going over our adventure, do the unboxing and setup, getting it all installed and ready to put onto your car. First thing we'll go over is all the accessories. All these accessories will be found inside of the ladder box and they will all be slid into the channels on the tent. All right, so let's get started on the install. Once you open up your accessory box, just double check and make sure everything's inside. You'll have 2 locks, 2 rod holders. These are going to be your bolts to attach onto the vehicle. There'll be 8 of each. You'll have 4 bars and 4 rubber pads that will go onto the bars, 2 ladder holders, 2 keys, handle, 2 Allen wrenches, and 8 tabs that will slide into the channels of the tent. All right, so to get started, first thing we're going to start with is the handle. Best way to put on the accessories on this tent or to loosen these until there's about 1 thread on. This makes it easier than removing these, sliding them in and attaching the nut, because if we can keep them intact, we can go ahead and just slide them into the channel. So once you've loosened these, you'll see that there is a nice little gap inside of here, which will also give us a gap in between the handle and the T-nut to slide it into the channel. Start with the right one. Go ahead and line that up. If you find that it's tight, you can loosen this a little bit more, but today it looks like these fit perfectly. We'll go ahead and slide those in and go ahead and slide this into the center of the tent. Some people like it over on the left side, some people like it over to the right, but for today's video, we'll go ahead and slide that right in the middle. Once you pick the location for your handle, go ahead and grab your large Allen wrench and we can begin to tighten this. We like to get them about firm tightness, the Allen wrench facing towards them. And then you can put it vertical to give it a nice tighten. Again, to the right. Make sure to always double check all these bolts on here as you use this tent. They do have a Loctite on them, but they can loosen with extreme vibration. Once you got it tight, go ahead and give it a wiggle. Make sure that everything's firm on there. Next step, we're gonna do our rod holders. The important thing about these is you'll notice that the hole is facing a certain direction. So today we'll go ahead and do the left side. We want to make sure that the hole is facing away from the tent out to the left. We'll go ahead and loosen these just as we did with the handle. And this will be the same with all the accessories. And then we'll go ahead and slide this into the channel. We're going to go ahead and leave this on loose for right now. And we can tighten these once we get the locks on. We'll go ahead and repeat this with the right side. Again, loosening these up, leaving a gap to slide it in, making sure that the hole is facing away to the tent. So on the right side, the hole will be facing to the right. If for some reason this is too tight, you can take your Allen wrench and loosen that slightly, which will allow it to slide in. So we'll go ahead and leave those in place for right now. Next, we're gonna install the latches. So we have a few options with these latches. Today, we're gonna install them on the rear of the tent, right here on the left and the right side. Some customers like to put them on the side of the tent if it makes it a little bit easier for them to grab. What you're gonna wanna do first is disconnect these from each other. You'll take the lock and the key, insert it to the left. This is gonna open up this latch and allow you to free the second portion. Once you've gotten to this point, we're gonna wanna remove this bar, which will allow us to get to these bolts. You're gonna take your small Allen key, turn it to the left. We're going to go ahead and remove this. Repeat that on the opposite side as well. We like to just loosen it and then you can hand spin it off. If you find that it's tight, you can grab the Allen wrench. Go ahead and set these to the side. Now that we've separated these two, we're going to do the same thing with these T-slots, spin them out just so 1 or 2 threads is connected, allowing it to easily slide into the channel. We'll start with the larger portion of the lock. Go ahead and hold these nuts with your thumbs. Twist these straight so that way they line up with the channel. This one is going to go onto the top channel. And we'll do the same with the bottom one. Spin those off, making sure that they're at the end of the screw, and slide those on. Don't worry about them being lined up, as we can remove this one once this one's secure. One thing to note, we want to make sure that this lock is located 1 to 2 inches away from the end of the tent. So that'll be this gap right here. Some customers like to go in a little bit more, but we like to stay about 1 to 2 inches over. Once you have your locks in the right position, we begin to tighten these. One thing you will notice with these latches, they can move up and down. So this is very important when you tighten these. This bottom one, you're gonna wanna lift up and tighten. This top one, you wanna push down and tighten. So we begin with this top one. What you can do is just go ahead and move this guy out of the way. Begin to hand tighten these. We like to do this just so it's tight enough where it holds itself together, but still gives you the ability to move it back and forth. Once this has been positioned down, even with your line, go ahead and take your Allen wrench and give this a nice, firm tighten. Again, check this every now and then. With vibration, stuff can loosen. So we want to make sure that these bolts remain tight on the tent. Just double check it with your hand, make sure it feels nice and firm, and then it's not moving back and forth. Once you're done here, go ahead and position this up so it's out of the way. Line this up, do a test, make sure that this falls in the middle. You can see here we're hitting on this side right here, so we're gonna move it over slightly to the left. We wanna make sure that falls through. Do a little double check on each side. Go ahead and position that out of the way. Take this with both hands, push up. Tighten it to the point where it still can be moved, but it will hold itself in place. Double check that your alignment is correct. We don't want anything hitting. We want it smooth all the way through. Once you got to that point, go ahead and take your Allen wrench, tighten this down. Okay, now we're ready to attach the bar back onto here. But before doing so, again, just do one more check. Make sure that it falls freely through without hitting the left or the right side. All right, next step, we're gonna put the bar back on the bottom bracket. This again will slide into here. This will be a tight fit, so go ahead and just shimmy it in. What you'll wanna do is just check both sides are lined up with the threads. And I'm just gonna pop through here. All right, take both your bolts, go ahead and hand tighten those just to get them set. You can always fast forward. Once they're hand tight, you can go ahead and grab your small Allen key. Begin to tighten these down. Again, you want to check these every so often. Make sure that everything's nice and tight. Then go ahead and give it one more firm twist. And just double check that that's all lined up. You can now do a test close, put some pressure on the top of your roof, push down, and make sure that snaps on. Now that we've done the handle and the locks, last thing we're gonna do on the rear of the tent are the rod holders. So what we're gonna do here, we wanna make sure these are about 6 to 7 inches from the lock. Go ahead and position those. You can set the bolts, make sure they're firmly tightened, and then go ahead and give them a good tight twist, making sure that it will not move and is set onto the tent's channels. We'll repeat this on the right side. Now that we've had the locks, the rod holders, and the handle attached to the rear of the tent, we're gonna go ahead and move forward and attach the ladder mounts. Best way to do this is open up the tent so we can see the position of where the ladder will line up with one of the openings. One thing to note, if you do want your ladder on the rear of the tent, you'll need to do this as the first step, as now we can't slide anything into these channels with these blocking. So again, if you want the ladder on the rear, make this the first step before you put anything onto the tent. Easy way to open up the tent is just apply some pressure on the shell. Make sure that this is not locked. Go ahead and open up your latches. Take your handle, lift up. The struts will engage. Lifting the tent up. Go ahead and take your rubber band, hold this down into the channels when you're ready to set it. But for today, we're gonna be using this channel right here for the ladder mount. So we'll just position this right here while we put the ladder mount on. Go ahead and take both mounts out of the bag. There should be 2 of them. These ones, we don't need to disconnect anything. All we need to do is loosen the bolts the same way as we did to the other accessories and slide these in. Again, these can be put in the rear of the tent, on the passenger side, or on the driver side. For today's video, we'll go ahead and do it on the passenger side. We highly recommend this side, as when you're parked along the road, the ladder won't be on the road side, but it will either be on the beach side or the opposite side of where you're camping or parked. So again, go ahead and take your ladder mounts, line them up with the channel, making sure that they're loose enough to be able to slide in. If you find that it does get tight, just go ahead and loosen these a little bit more. Slide those in. If you come into a situation like this where it's very tight, you can go ahead and take your Allen key and loosen it, or just back it out, start over, loosen that up. Again, you'll see a gap in there. Just make sure it catches one thread, and then reapply. Then slide those in. Do that with both sides. Again, we want to line it up with the window, so you'll see the window gap right here. Go ahead and line those up as best you can. Best way to do this is take your ladder out of the bag. And we're gonna wanna line the ladder mounts up with these 2 hooks. So what we like to do, go ahead and position your ladder onto the tent like this, making sure that these are in the middle. Kind of just do a little test fit, drop those in there like that. And now we can take the Allen wrenches and tighten both those up. But before tightening them, go ahead and remove the ladder once we know the correct position. And we can begin to tighten these 2 4 bolts. Now that you've put your ladder mounts on and they're in the correct position in the tent, we'll go ahead and tighten the 4 bolts. You do want to make sure that they are even. We don't want them slanted like this, but make sure that they're even with the tent right here on this line. Once they're in the correct spot, go ahead and give them a nice tighten. Be sure to check these regularly. And again, if you need to adjust it, go ahead and do that before you tighten this last one. Now your ladder is set to be placed onto the tent. Now that all of our accessories are attached to the outside of the tent, we're going to begin showing you how to set up your tent. Once your tent has been opened, you'll notice a rubber band right here. This helps keep all your fabric intact when closing the tent. So when you open it, go ahead and pull this down. You can tuck this into the bottom channel. You're going to do this on the left and the right side. And you'll leave this like this while the tent is in use. Once you're at this point, you can now either enter through the back or the side of your tent to grab the accessories that are inside. You're gonna notice a bag with stakes and a shoe bag. These stakes will connect to the back of the tent into the two stake holders, and the shoe bag can attach to the ladder mount before the ladder is put on. So first thing we're gonna do is we'll start with the stakes. Go ahead and take these out of the bag. Make sure to keep the bag either inside the tent or somewhere where you don't forget it, because as we do want this stake stored in the bag when they are inside the tent. Just out of habit, go ahead and place this in the corner of the tent. When putting these on, it's very important to make sure that these are all the way into the hole. So we do want to hear it hit the back of the tent. Make sure this is straight. The bend will be facing up towards the sky. You can push in right here with this hand, pull back. You'll notice a loop on your tent. Go ahead and take that and push it through. We'll repeat this on the right side as well. Now your rain fly is set up. Now we have a few options here. In cold weather, you got bugs, you're going to want to close up all your windows. You also have the option to roll this up as well. Be sure when you're rolling these up, try to do it as tight as you can. That way it'll give you a nice view straight out the back of your tent. Then you'll notice too on here, there's going to be strings with a little loop on it. You'll go ahead and insert this through and T-cross it. That way it's held together. You could do the same with your mesh screen, or you can close it. This is a perfect way to keep bugs out or a little bit of extra shade inside the tent. One of the unique features about our tent is all of our windows roll up and they're extra large. This gives you a nice view outside. It also has the ability to close itself where it looks as one fabric, and this rolls up in itself so that way it's not dangling down, getting ripped or getting dirty. Your option with this guy is you can have it fully closed, which will give you almost near darkness inside the tent. Or if it's a nice day, you could roll this up. There's going to be a zipper on both sides. Go ahead and bring this all the way to the top. When rolling this up, you always want to start with the larger or longer side first. And you want to make sure when you roll this that it's nice and tight. So today we'll go ahead, start over on this side, rolling it up. Once you become even, you can go to the middle. Bring this all the way. You'll notice a loop strap right here. Go ahead and take this, bring it through, and then you'll cross this through the loop so that way it holds itself. It tees itself inside that loop. That'll hold that up. If it's not a really windy day, you can always run one of these. If you know it's going to be super windy, we suggest strapping down both of them. That'll keep this from flapping. Again, through the loop, tees itself onto there. You also have the same option for the mesh as well. So again, if you're going to be in a place where there's bugs, we recommend leaving this down. You want a little extra shade. It's super nice. You want a pure view right outside the tent. We'll go ahead and do the same with this. So best way to do this, pull it. Go ahead and begin rolling this. We want to keep it as neat and tight as possible. It'll just make it a little bit easier for us when we go to tie it down at the top. So again, you're gonna make sure this guy's out. Take your little T. This guy will have a little loop on it. Take that through there, cross it, that'll hold that. We'll do the same with this one. Now you have a perfect view outside the tent, allows for air to flow through, and you're ready for some nice scenic views. So you can repeat this on both sides of the tent, and then at night you can undo these and bring everything down. Another option with our adventure is the rainfly can roll up. If you're gonna be somewhere where you don't need the extra shade, you want a better view outside your tent, you can go ahead and roll this up. So what you'll do is you'll remove it from the stakes. Just push those back. Again, push back on here, bring that through. You'll notice 2 zippers on the side here. We're gonna unzip those. But before we do so, we like to just throw this over, keep it out of the way. It can be on the top of the tent. We will unzip these on both sides, all the way to the top. It is best to hold onto this, that way nothing gets caught going up. And then once we get to here, we'll go ahead and bring that out. You can take your flap right here, bring this over. You do the same thing on this side, bring that over. Go ahead and give it a good roll. Again, you want to keep this nice and tight. Right, now that your rain fly is all the way up, you can roll your mesh screen up as well. Now you have a nice view out the back. So this will roll up the same way as the windows. Just make sure that it's nice and tight. And neat. That'll roll up. Right here. Go ahead and cross that through the loop and then tee it off so that way it holds itself. There. Now all windows are open, allows for the perfect airflow. You also have another option too. If you want a little awning coming out the side, you can go and undo your security screen and use this as an awning. So this will come out. You'll notice 2 little loops on the end here. And this can be used to add a little bit of extra shade inside if it's a really hot day. Next, you can place your shoe bag on the outside of the tent. This will clip onto the ladder mount, just like this. And then you can place your ladder onto the tent. Shoe bag's perfect for putting dirty shoes or anything you want to keep outside the tent before you enter. Some of the unique features about this tent, it does offer an anti-deforming 3-inch mattress. This is one of our more comfortable mattresses. Also offers a anti-condensation pad. This will help absorb some moisture while you're inside the tent. Our roof is padded with a carpeted padding. This will keep heat from coming inside the tent. You'll have a net right here, storing clothes or other gear while you're camping. You'll notice 2 pouches on each side. These are perfect for holding small accessories, phones, gear that you want to keep away from you while you're laying down. You'll also notice that we have a vent on the top right here. This just allows for a little bit of airflow to keep the condensation out while you have body heat inside of the tent. Now that we showed you how to get it all set up, we want to show you how to tear down your tent when you're ready to go home. First thing we're going to do is remove the stakes from the tent. Go ahead and push back, loop these through. Make sure to try to keep these little rubber pieces on. If you don't push these back and they get caught onto this loop, sometimes these can pop off, so just be wary of that while you're removing these from the tent. Go ahead and pull that out. Repeat the same step. Push back, pull through. You want to make sure that these are placed back inside of the bag that's provided. Once these are placed back in the bag, it's very important of where you position these in the tent. You do not want to throw these in blindly, so please make sure that these are in the center of the tent. That way when you close it, it doesn't get caught on any of the fabric. So for today, we'll go ahead and set that right in the middle. For the windows, we're going to go ahead and zip everything up on the mesh screens. Keep those closed. Go ahead, undo those, let those fall down. Go ahead and zip that back up. We do like to leave this window open right here, so this can just fall back into place. This will help let the air push out when you close it. We're going to want to close all the side windows as well. One thing to help this from ballooning up as you close it with air is we're just going to close the mesh screen and have the fabric down. So we'll keep this. You can close this. One little trick we found that helps is go ahead and leave this open. Bring this down. And you can actually tuck this inside of the tent. So what we'll do, bring that down. And then just tuck that inside the tent. Again, that'll help all the air flow out. So we'll repeat this on the opposite side. Go ahead and leave this open. Mesh is open as well. Tucking that inside. Remove the ladder by lifting up and pulling out. Shoe bag. Undo the clips. And then again, place this inside the middle of the tent. Now we're ready to close it up. When closing the rain fly, it's very important to hold this out as you close it. That way the zipper does not get caught onto the mesh. You can let that dangle. And then we're going to take our rubber band, bring it outside of the channels. We want this to be about in the middle. That'll hold itself. Go ahead and grab your closing strap. You're going to want to pull down. Now once the tent gets to about right here, it'll kind of hold still. Go ahead and start tucking the fabric inside the tent, just like this. You take one arm right here, fluff that in, pull that in towards you. If you'd like, you can also go around your tent with your hands and push in any excess fabric that wants to pop out. Kind of run your hands along here, bring in anything along here. A little trick, pull up, take your hand, push that all in. If you find that any has come out, you can run your hands along the tent. Pushing all that in. And then to close your tent, make sure that these are open. Sometimes they want to get stuck right here, so make sure that these are open. Tent can close. And what you're going to do is apply pressure on the top of the shelf, push down, and then these will snap back into place. You're ready to go home. All right, last thing is we're gonna get the mounting hardware set up and show you how these mount to your vehicle. First thing you're gonna wanna do is grab the 4 plates. You'll notice inside of the bag are rubber pads. Go ahead and peel the adhesive off of these. You're gonna line these up with the holes onto here. Push that down, rub that along, make sure it's all set. You'll notice you have multiple holes. Depending on the width of your racks is going to determine the holes that you're going to use. So for today, we're going to use the second one in. Easiest way to do this is take your Allen wrench, poke it through the back side, pop that out. All right, you're gonna go ahead and repeat this step and put them on all four. Once you have those all lined up, you can begin to grab your hardware. So today we'll be grabbing the bolts. Today we'll just show you how to mount one, and this will be the same for all four. So you'll take one of your tabs, making sure that this U right here is facing up towards you. You'll drop your bolt head in. One thing to be very cautious about is the way that this is seated in here. We don't want it seating up like this. We want to make sure it falls into each side of those tracks. Then what you'll do, you'll take this into the bottom rail right here, slide that right in, just like that. So for today, you'll use 2 on each bar. These will slide in. Now you want to make sure that these are positioned at least 6 inches from the back of your tent. So for today's demo, we'll just do it right here for the video. Next, you want to make sure that your bar is running through each one of these. So one will be on the back side, one will be on the front side. You'll then take your plate right here. Go ahead and place this on the bottom. You want to make sure that the rubber is facing up, so that way as you tighten it, this does not rub onto your racks and will reduce vibration. So we'll go ahead and line both these up with each other. Go ahead and set your lock nuts with the blue part facing down. And go ahead and hand tighten these. These will stop as soon as it hits the nylon. All right, now you can take the provided tool. This is a 10 and a 13. You're gonna want to use the 13 side. And you can tighten these down until this bar has hit your racks. Go ahead and make sure that there's a slight bend to it. You don't want to over tighten it, but you can make sure that this slightly forms around your bar. You can do a test on the tent. Go ahead and wiggle it back and forth, making sure that it's set on top of the bars. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about the adventure or any of our other tents, you can contact us at sales@miaoutdoors.com. Thank you.